Coming up in this video, my 5 favourite things for November. Hey everybody, it's Kalymnios here from theDoorTube.com, here giving you everything you need to take yourself to that superhuman leader level. And this video, I want to share with you 5 things that I use in my day-to-day or my week-to-week life that help improve it in some way so that I feel superhuman, and maybe if you adopt it, potentially you might do too. So let's crack on with the first one, number 1. It is this. This is a powder. It's called Amazing Grass Green Superfood. If I just show you what's in there, you can sort of see. You get like a little scoop of about that size. You scoop up this green powder and you can put it in your water, you can put it in your juice. I put it in my smoothie every day. One little scoop of this really is the equivalent of about 7 to 9 portions of fruit and veg. This is what they call a super green or a blended greens. It has things in it like wheatgrass, barley grass, alfalfa grass, camu, broccoli extract, a bunch of different vitamins and minerals in here. And I believe personally that everyone should be on some sort of super green blend. This isn't really exactly what I'd call, I mean, I guess it is a supplement. It's a whole food supplement though. It's not chemically made or anything like that. And you know, I still get a lot of veg in, probably somewhere between 15 and 25 portions of veg a day, largely because I do a lot of juicing and smoothies, but I also eat my pan-low diet. So links to all of these things in the description box or in the videos here. But you still, in my opinion, need a super green. The nutrient profile of vegetables just isn't what it was once in the past, and it's very difficult to get all you need from just that. So not only that, if I make my smoothie without this, boy do I taste the difference. It doesn't taste nearly as good. In fact, it's I just don't want to drink it, to be honest. So I always buy a stack of these. These are my favourite flavour from this particular company in Kansas, and yeah, Amazing Grass Super Greens. I'd get some Amazon, wherever, your local health food shop, and test them out. I know you might have your own super greens, but these have been the best that I've found, which taste great just in water. Number 2, staying on the kind of the food supplement kind of form, is these are probiotics. These particular ones are called OptiBac probiotics. It might be a good idea to cycle through your probiotics, but basically probiotics are good bacteria. We've got a lot of bacteria both in us and on us. In fact, way more, 10 times more bacterial cells than we've got human DNA cells. And they are super important, especially the ones in the gut. They are responsible for our health, our immune system, and the research on gut health and microbiome is still in its absolute infancy, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about it in the next 5 to 10 years, trust me. Most people's gut flora or gut microbiome or ecology in their gut is totally shot to pieces. Partly a prevalence of use of antibiotics, not even if you're taking it, but if you're eating meat and things like that, chances are that meat has been or the animals were consuming antibiotics, not only if they were ill, but also antibiotics have long been known to make the animals fatter. And so even if they're healthy, they still may eat antibiotics. So chances are you've been consuming a lot of antibiotic-rich food without actually even realising that you're taking antibiotics. So all of that is quite damaging for the gut. Most people's guts are not really, haven't really got the flora, the ecology in there that they should do. Probiotics is one way of getting it in. Another great way would be fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi, which I do encourage you to try and eat 3-4 times a week. I do too, but this is kind of my insurance policy. It's just to have a little bit more. It's not the ideal because we want a lot of different strains of bacteria. We want to be getting it from kind of natural sources, but most people don't. Most people have a problem with their flora, and so therefore having a good probiotic in addition to a prebiotic, which the earlier thing I showed you, the Amazing Grass Super Greens, I believe has got prebiotics in there, and prebiotics are what probiotics feed on. So if you think of probiotics as like your friendly bacteria, then they get hungry as well and they need food as well. So some prebiotics are necessary for that. But we're not going to go into that right now. all I want to talk to you about is that it's important, I think, to get probiotics in your diet, whether that's from food or a supplement. Think about probiotics because your gut is really the powerhouse of your health. Number 3 is this thing. What is this thing? You can see this is actually a case for my mobile phone. So I slot my mobile phone in there and I use this little strap to pull it out. Now why would I have this case? What's the point? Is it just to protect the phone? Well, not really. It does protect that, but it's more to protect me. What happens is that this has got 2 kind of different layers to it. So on one side, which is the side that you face out in your pocket, if you've got it in your pocket, it allows a signal to come in. On the other side, it's basically reinforced to give you some kind of protection against the EMFs that come from the phone. Why this is important is because there are studies now, I've been looking into it quite a lot, which are showing just how bad mobile phones are for disrupting basically our cells, our DNA. And unfortunately, if you're a guy and you put this in your pocket, you know what else it could disrupt as well. I tend to generally, if I'm honest, have my phone on airplane mode most of the time, and then also in here. And if I have a bag with me, I'll put the phone in the bag most times rather than in my pocket. But for the times that I've got it on my person, and even if it's in the bag, it protects it a little bit. But I like to put this thing. This is called a wave wall, which I found out about through one of the magazines that I subscribe to. Whether it's something that you choose to get or not is your decision, but it's something that I think is important to take note of the fact that these EMFs are not great for us, okay? We have had various electromagnetic waves throughout history, yes. However, they have augmented massively in the last 50, 100 years with the inventions of like radios and TVs and satellites and mobile phones and everything else, Wi-Fi, that it's more than our bodies, I believe, can cope with. So we do what we can do, you know, we control the events that we can control, or not the events, but the circumstances around those. And the rest we just got to let go sometimes. So I can control how this phone appears in my pocket, but I can't control the fact that when I step outside that door, there are going to be EMFs around me all over the place. So I'm not going to worry about that because it's not in the sphere of my control. But how I wear my phone is. So that's why I get this. That is my number 3 for my favourite things. Alright, number 4 is these things. Can you see what these things? These look really weird little things. Okay, these are actually toe spacers. So you put these around your toes and it creates a bit of space between your toes. Why even do that? Well, the thing is, our toes generally are being scrunched up so much by wearing shoes which are generally not the right size, because you may go to the shoe place and they say, you know, you're a size 9 or whatever, but actually the way that shoes are designed, you know, our feet generally should be barefoot. I mean, this is how we evolved. And it's so important because we've got a lot of nerve endings in our feet. We need it for balance. We need our toes to kind of walk properly, everything. And when we have these crunched up toes, I was in yoga this morning and you know, I'm looking at people's feet. It's a bit weird, but you know, you can't help it when you're in yoga. And the amount of people whose toes are literally taking the shape of their shoes. Your toes should really be the widest part of your feet, not the kind of the bit where most people get their bunions and everything else. That's not how it should be. So these will help you walk slightly differently actually. And what I like about these ones as opposed to other ones is that they're very mobile. You can wear these under socks and walk around the house in them. They'll probably be a bit too tight for your shoes unless you've got some barefoot shoes, in which case they're nice and wide. But they help really splay out the toes a little bit more. And you'll notice that you walk slightly differently, and you may even notice things like your knees might be slightly better, or your hips. I mean, don't take my word for this, but just have a go and see what you think. I'll put a link where I got these particular ones from, although I do think that they came from Europe somewhere, and I did have to pay some sort of income, what was it called, customs and excise tax on them. So if you can get them from Amazon, all the better. But these are toe spacers, so that is my number 4 for this month. And finally, number 5, it's not really a thing, but it's an activity, it's something I do, and it's a bit on the theme of the whole EMF thing, and that is just to make sure that I turn off my Wi-Fi router at night before I go to bed. I have a Wi-Fi router and an extender that I use in my place, and I make sure, and it's become a habit now, the first few months, you know, I would turn it off when I decided to start turning it off, then I'd forget for 3 nights, then I'd turn it off, then I'd forget for 4 nights, then I'd turn it off, I'd forget for 1 night, whatever it might be. But eventually, over time, you get into this habit, and now it's habitual that before I go to bed, like probably 19 times out of 20, I'll remember to turn it off. And the reason I do that is because, one, there's no reason for it to be on in the first place, unless you're uploading something overnight, in which case I still recommend maybe getting some kind of plug-in thing so you don't have to have a Wi-Fi on there. Because, like I said, this EMFs is not a great thing for our bodies, and overnight we're supposed to be healing our bodies. We don't want EMF and electromagnetic frequencies floating around, damaging our cells, damaging our DNA. We need it on during the day, maybe because we're working, but even then, you know, maybe you limit how you get exposed to it. And like I said before, you can only control what you can control. I can't control the fact that my neighbours upstairs might have their Wi-Fi on overnight, but I don't need to add to the problem by keeping mine on when I've got control over it. So I recommend absolutely turning that off overnight, and while you're at it, turn off your phone, at least put things into airplane mode. And if you've not seen my kind of 9 after 9 philosophy in my sleep video, I'll link to it here so you can check that out and why I do that. But really, you've got to be wary of these new frequencies that are infecting us, and control what you can control. Okay, that is it. They're my 5 favourite things for November. So that was the Super Green Blend, the Amazing Grass Super Green Blend, followed by the probiotics. Remember, getting probiotics into your system each and every day is a great thing to do. Then we had the Wave Wall, the protective case for the mobile phone to help protect your cells, especially gentlemen, your kind of cells in that area. And then fourthly, even, we had the toe spacers to help give you a better foot, I was going to say footfall, and I guess it is footfall, a better footfall, a better foot presence. And then lastly, we have the idea of turning off your Wi-Fi router overnight. Bit of a higgledy-piggledy one this month, but it's again things that I think are important, that when you start incorporating them into your life, I do think that you will notice a difference. Let me know what you think. Please do remember to subscribe, share, comment. I do respond to all the comments that I possibly can personally, so I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, remember to stay strong, stay super. Bye.